Good morning. Should we be teaching our school kids only in English? That's the question before California voters whose decision on bilingual education will be closely watched today, Tuesday, June 2nd, 1998.
From NBC News, this is Today with Katie Couric and Matt Lauer, live from Studio 1A in Rockefeller Plaza.
And good morning. Welcome to Today on this Tuesday morning. I'm Matt Lauer.
And I'm Katie Couric. California is often a bellwether state, so a lot of people are keeping a close eye on this vote, aren't they?
That's right. They're voting on Proposition 227 today. A yes vote will mean an end to bilingual education in that state. A no vote means bilingual education continues. There is much at stake for non-English speaking students, and we'll look at both sides of this issue coming up in a few minutes.
As voters head to the polls today in 8 states, there is a key ballot measure in California. If Proposition 227 passes, the state's bilingual education programs will end. NBC's Mike Betcher has details.
1.5 million California students do not speak English. Many are educated with a combination of English and their mother tongue, ranging from Korean to Spanish. But if Proposition 227 is approved today, bilingual education in California will be banned. English only the rule. The drive is spearheaded by computer millionaire Ron Unz, who believes bilingual education has been a failure.
We have to pull the plug on this failed experiment and instead shift over to a system which ensures that children are taught English as quickly as possible once they begin public schools in California.
But opponents of the proposition, while admitting bilingual education has not been a complete success, argue that there will be an even bigger disaster if English only becomes the law in California.
In an educational system that's already, in bad need of reform, it's only going to make the matter worse. It's not going to teach any kid English any sooner.
Polls show Proposition 227 will likely be approved. But if it is, opponents say they will challenge its constitutionality in court. Mike Betcher, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Katie, now to a vote that's being closely watched around the country. Californians today will vote on whether or not to abolish bilingual education for the state's school children. Henry Gradillas is an educator in Southern California, and Waldemar Rojas is superintendent of schools in San Francisco. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Rojas, let me start with you. You're in favor of continuing bilingual education, even though critics say it does not work. Why do you think it does work?
Well, it absolutely works because our students are performing at or above national average when given the opportunity. Bilingual education is the process of allowing non-English speaking children to learn content areas in math, science, and social studies while they're acquiring English, and they go through that phase of learning language. This proposition is ill-founded, has no research, and clearly, people do not learn academic English in the course of 1 year.
Let me just go over what you said. In other words, these students are taught things like math and sciences in their native language while they're learning English at the same time. But the critics say that doesn't teach them English fast enough.
Well, the critics contend that it doesn't, but on average here in San Francisco, we find that between the 4th and 5th year, that children become fluent in English. You can't speed that process up of actually learning language. And what the critics refuse to admit is that they have no program, that the issue that they're talking about in building this class that's a Tower of Babel is that they hope that the children will learn. In actuality, California had this before 1967, and the reality is that 50% of the Latino students never succeeded, never accomplished, and never completed high school. Now the dropout rate is cut in half, and academic achievement is occurring.
Dr. Gradillas, let me let you comment on some of what Dr. Rojas has just said.
Well, in the first place, what is happening is some of the biggest problems that I have seen has been the lack of individuals learning English well enough. I'm not talking about learning English, survival English. Anybody can do that after they've been in this country for a few years. What I'm looking at is being able to speak, read, and write the English language, well enough. Problems that I ran into in a major high school in East Los Angeles, where I was principal for many years, was the fact that these individual students that came into our school not knowing English, not learning well enough English to be able to move ahead, gave us tremendous problems. We abolished bilingual education in that school. We abolished it, and in place of it, we gave it strong ESL support.
When you abolished it, the parents were furious, and you basically said to them, I know you're mad now, but give me a year and take a look at the results.
That is true. I said to them, you only have 3 years to teach the students well enough. If we immerse them in 1 whole year of English, give them 3 or 4 hours a day, add this up with after-school activities, and then put them into regular English-speaking classes. See, what happens is when you begin to teach a student in Spanish only, bilingual classes, those classes will never translate into English. You only have 3 years in a high school. The problem is that when these kids take these basic courses, basic math, basic science courses, they never get those uplifting courses such as algebra.
Dr. Rojas,
Mr.
go ahead.
Bilingual education says bilingual. It's not a matter of teaching the children only in Spanish. It's a matter of giving them math, science, social studies, rigorous academic content that's credit-bearing.
You can't give them rigorous.
While they're
Listen,
being
Rojas,
taught
you can't give them
English.
rigorous academic courses if they don't know English yet. What you're doing,
sir, could you learn another language in a year?
Yes. Most of the students in 1 year immersion program will learn sufficient English at the same time giving them regular English classes. If you give them bilingual classes...
You would be the only one anywhere from Middlebury College in Vermont to the Monterey Defense Language Institute to Stanford University to UC Berkeley.
Listen, you're bringing the Language Institute. I know the Monterey Language Institute.
Now, the question really is not if you can learn an entire language in a year. Isn't the question, can you learn enough of that language to be proficient and then learn other subjects in that language?
Well, you can't learn enough English to deal with mathematical equations and to deal with biological terminology in the course of a year.
But so what are you going to do? You're going to teach
dealing
that
with
in
socialization
Spanish?
English.
When does it transfer over into English?
Remember that when this nation woke up and these fellows were hanging around the moon, they were called cosmonauts, the math and science was okay in Russian. You believe you actually can't learn math and science in other languages?
No, but why waste the time in learning other languages? The problem is we don't have teachers.
Learning other languages.
We don't have teachers qualified enough in Spanish to teach bilingual chemistry, bilingual physics. You must teach it in English so that the universities will accept it. This is what I found out, and I think you know too, as superintendent of San Francisco.
If somebody doesn't speak English.
The universities are not going to accept bilingual classes, bilingual biology, bilingual life science, bilingual mathematics. Ridiculous. The bilingual classes are very much accepted by the universities. Dr. Gradillas, UCLA has a Sunday exam that says unless you learn sufficient English, you will not be admitted.
Let me try this with you. In California, isn't the bilingual education system seen as almost a remedial type of course, where in other states, it's looked at as a way to enhance the student's life by allowing them to learn 2 languages?
Exactly. See, when bilingual education started 30 years ago, I was asked to come in 1972 to Garfield High School to teach a class in bilingual biology. How ridiculous. Biology is based on Greek, it's based on Latin, la vena cava, la aorta, el microscopio. Why waste a whole year teaching it bilingually? Teach it in English. They know how to speak Spanish. What they need is English.
Dr. Rojas, I'm going to give you the last word.
With 1 stone.
Dr. Gradillas, hold on 1 second, please.
And you get the college prerequisite.
Dr. Gradillas, 1 sec. Dr. Rojas, go ahead. I'll give you the last word.
Well, Dr. Gradillas would actually have you believe that you can learn language in a year. That's what this initiative is about. And it's foolish.
Rojas.
It doesn't work. And
little kids.
Absolutely, the youngsters can learn. What he has and what he had in his high school was lots of youngsters taking courses which were not credit-bearing, and they put them in the sink or swim model, which in actuality in California, most of the youngsters sank.
And I'm going to have to make that the last word. Dr. Gradillas, Dr. Rojas, thank you very much. The vote on Proposition 227 is today in California.